being from the state of Maryland, not Baltimore, obviously, from outside of Washington, but loving Baltimore for all of its intricacies, I have at least met many, countless, unintentionally funny people from that area. But our next guest might be genuinely, legitimately the funniest person that's ever come out of Baltimore, Maryland, as we welcome in comedian Stavros Halkias, who is back home for the Fat Rascal Tour that's taking place up at the historic Lyric Theater up in Baltimore tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And also, I just want to say to you, thank you for coming on. Like, I know the tickets are so limited. You actually don't really need to promote this. So thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I mean, maybe I just, to be honest with you, didn't realize I was agreeing. And it was too late to back out.
Yeah.
No. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm pumped. Yeah, we have some tickets left for the late show Thursday. So if anyone's around, they want a nice little laugh, come see us. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on, my friend.
I mean, I think I should have played the clip, but my favorite one that I've seen of you where you talk about Baltimore was one where you talk about overhearing someone spending your sweatpants money on Doritos, which sounds about as perfect Baltimore as it gets.
Yes. It's a beautiful town. I mean, we have our own very specific brand of white trash. And if your listeners are more in DC, they're in Northern VA, come up to Baltimore for a little bit. Come up and just really experience it for yourself. We have a very specific blend of it's the nexus of where Southern and Mid-Atlantic white trash meet, and it makes a really very specific sports fan and city dweller. So I love it. I love those guys. They are truly funnier than I'll ever be by just being themselves.
Where in Baltimore did you grow up?
I grew up in Greektown. I grew up in Southeast Baltimore.
So, what was that like? Did you know any other funny people in Greektown in Baltimore, or no?
Yeah, we got them. We got them over there. Everyone. I mean, Baltimore's it's a hilarious town. It's a blue collar town.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone is kind of funny. Everyone. It's a lot of everyone's kind of busting each other's balls, and I come from an immigrant family where that's kind of the thing. The love language is insults. And so, just to make it through a family dinner or a lunch period in Baltimore City Public Schools, you do kind of have to, it's mock or be mocked. So, you're on your toes for sure.
Okay. Did you know anybody else in comedy up there? Because I'm only half kidding. When I looked up comedians from Baltimore, the list is short. I mean, it's really short.
It is short. We have a lot of, DC actually has a much better history. Chappelle, Wanda Sykes, Patton Oswalt's from Northern Virginia, Danny McBride's from Virginia, that kind of thing. But yeah, there was not a lot of well-known comedians probably, but we got our own little scene here, and there were people that definitely kind of helped me out along the way. But no, I mean, it was a lot of just watching Comedy Central, watching old, my mom's a waitress at a Greek restaurant when I was a little kid. So I spent a lot of my Saturday nights just waiting for her to come home with leftover lamb chops and watching Saturday Night Live. I was just picking it up all over the place.
Right.
For sure.
Okay. So what was growing up in Baltimore like?
I loved it. I mean, I grew up in, you don't know any different, obviously, but it was fun, man. I come from a very kind of tightly knit Greek community here in Southeast Baltimore, Greektown. So a lot of, we had a lot of just, I didn't really leave the neighborhood when I was younger. And then as I grow up, you see everything Baltimore has to offer. It's a fun town. Like I said, there's a little edge to it. So
yeah.
You got to be, you're to kind of be aware, to be funny, to be able to disarm situations. But I loved it. I mean, I spent a lot of my youth just kind of playing pickup hoops wherever, playing pickup soccer. We would it's almost like a little travel team where the kids from Greektown would go to other neighborhoods and play. We kind of had our own little bootleg World Cup going, but I loved it, man. I had a great time. And like I said, going to Baltimore City Public Schools, it sharpens you. It makes you have to be quick on your feet.
Yeah.
Some of the funniest people I've ever met are just kids now that just grew up, have regular jobs, but they were electric in that cafeteria. I'll tell you, somebody comes through with too tight a shirt.
Yeah.
Somebody comes through with a bad haircut, forget about it.
Oh, wow.
He's done.
That's a dime a dozen, Stavros. I mean, come on, what are we talking about here? Shooting fish in a barrel. All right. So all right. Tell me a little more about Baltimore. Describe a Friday night out in Baltimore as a young Stavros running around. What's that like?
Oh, man. I mean, I did spend my 20s as a broke artist, trying to make it in Baltimore. Friday night was a tough night because everyone charges full price for drinks on a Friday night. You're much more liable to catch a young Stavros out on 2-for-1 Tuesdays at the Auto Bar or the 2-for-2.
Mm-hmm.
I knew every bar's 2-for deal. So it was like Tuesdays was the Auto Bar, Wednesdays was the Crown. And then if I'm out on a Friday night, it's let's do a show. Let's abuse the comics tab. Let's, pretend I'm a busboy and eat the leftovers from other tables, and then just hope I was funny enough and a young lady's decision making was poor enough that I could take her back to the $300 a month room that I was renting with a buddy of mine. So that's pretty much what it was looking like.
That sounds hot. All right. So what is the dating scene of Baltimore in your experience?
Ooh, let's see. I mean, I'm in New York now, but I mean, when I was in Baltimore, the dating scene was, I gotta say it was, I dated in my own, division. Nobody really had their life figured out. I dated a lot of alcoholics in my youth, where it was like I learned to drink stouts because the girls that I was dating would just I couldn't hang with them. I couldn't go vodka for vodka, so I had to drink heavier beers to make myself seem manlier, but really I was a light compared to them. A lot of broke people just kind of making do with what they had. That was my 20s, man. No one had their lives figured out, but nobody really cared.
Yeah, if you weren't a comedian, you could be a life coach. This is amazing what you're telling me now. Right. All right. So I do a terrible Baltimore accent all the time, but you do a perfect one, obviously, because you grew up there. What is the key to doing the perfect Baltimore accent? Well,
the shortcut is you got to hit the O real hard. That's the secret. You got to just hit them with the O. You want to hit a lot of words with an O. The Orioles absolutely blew it the other night. You just got to muddy up your vowels. You got to hit the O hard. That's pretty much it. That's the shorthand for it. And the angrier you are and the more ignorant the thing you're saying, the more true to the accent it'll be.
Okay. Do you have a working example of that, of angry, and ignorance all in one? Do you have an example of that?
Ooh. I don't know. Are we on a time delay? What's going on here? I don't know that I can say.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's if we're really going to be realistic about it.
I got it.
You're going to get a couple FCC violations.
I appreciate the forethought. All right, so I obviously
I'm looking out for you, buddy.
I appreciate it. So I love all the Baltimore stuff. I'm from here. Does this stuff play like in a room in Kentucky? Like if you pull the Baltimore stuff out, do they know what's going on? Do they get it?
Well, I think that people like specificity, and they like to sort of they like when something's personal, And I think now certainly it's not going to hit the way it hits in Baltimore because everybody knows it. But I think I do think we're such an interesting town that other places are fascinated by it, And so it'll work. I had that joke, that joke you were talking about in my last special. It's more. If you're doing it in a different place, you almost have to walk them through it like you're narrating a nature documentary. You know what I mean? It's like these are rare and exotic Baltimore specimens you're describing to them.
All right. Makes sense. All right. Thank you for explaining that. Okay. All right. I know you're a huge sports fan. You've already mentioned the Orioles. How you feeling today? What do you make? What do you make of what happened?
I wish that I could say I was heartbroken, but it's the thing of fool me once, shame on me. Fool me literally my entire life. Shame on you. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I flipped it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me my entire life. Fool me 40 times, shame on me. And it's I have never – my first cognizant memory of the Orioles is, getting robbed. That kid on the Yankees robbing, giving them a home run they didn't deserve. That ALCS.
Jeffrey Mayer. Jeffrey Mayer.
Jeffrey Mayer. That's my first. That is my first. And when I was a really little kid, we were good, but you're just kind of sort of aware of it. That is the first one that sticks in my head. I'm in high school, 07. I'm a senior in high school. Those are leading the AL East. We completely fall apart in the second half that year. And then, when Machado gets hurt, the year Kansas City wins, it's I just know it's not ending good for us, And it's almost like being in an abusive relationship. And, the Orioles knocked on my door. They swear they're in rehab. They're holding down a steady job, and they just want another chance. And I didn't fall for it. I wish I did. I wish my heart could love again. But my entire life has been, Charlie Brown with this team, and I feel bad for the team because it's such a lovable team, right? You love to see these young guys come up, and especially the way our management is. You get worried that we're not going to sign our best young talent, so you got to enjoy the moments you have with them. And they're exciting, but it's just they're a part of something so much bigger. The negative Orioles karma is always going to get to us, I feel. I won't believe it until I see it. You know what I mean? And part of me, I also feel like I jinxed us a little bit because I was wow, it's my big weekend. I've sold out all these shows in my hometown.
Yeah.
Everything's coming together. Hopefully the Orioles don't sweep the Tex, and I get to see a game in Camden Yards.
Oh.
I was even worried. I was I allowed myself the one scenario of it's not going to work, but how cool would it be if I got to be in the stadium when they actually, And so I jinxed any positive karma. I completely jinxed. So it's just any way you have it with the Orioles, it's you just know it's going to happen. And so, God bless the boys. I hope they come back. I hope they come back a little, and it's still an incredible season. The regular season was wild. I didn't follow it the way as fully as I would have if I believed anything was going to change. But hopefully they prove me wrong next season. I'll say it that way.
I do like that you blame yourself for them going out, and then that which surmises the angry, ignorant Baltimore person who had nothing to do with it, right, whatsoever.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, this is a character, and I am making fun of, these Baltimore guys. But let's be honest, in my heart, I'm a Baltimore guy just like them.
That's right.
I'm just as dumb. And my very core, the very core of every sports fan is an idiot that does not know what he's talking about. And that's me, baby. That's all of us.
All right, last question for you. Who is your favorite Harbaugh, Jim or John? Who's your favorite Harbaugh?
Oh, come on, man. I mean, who got us a Super Bowl? He's the man. Jim is cool. I like how intense Jim is. He's got he almost feels like John seems like more of a real person. He's a little more mellow. Jim feels like John from Concentrate. You know what I mean? Where it's Jim is you got to water down Jim a little bit because he's just too intense about football. But John he's the man. We won the Super Bowl with him, and he's been, he's an icon of the franchise, and I'm so happy. And listen, as the Ravens might have dropped a couple, that Steelers game was brutal, but I'm a huge Lamar believer. I'm a huge Harbaugh guy. I want to see them get one for sure. So John's my guy all the way.
Stavros, thank you so much for coming on. As a co-angry, ignorant sports fan from Maryland, we love you. So welcome home. Glad to have you back home. And thank you for taking the time for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Bram. Thank you very much.